but they don't panic, having dragged them one way.
Look, a Lolosio loop, and that leads to a beautiful try in the corner. Rugby!
Jorgensen ensures that his feet stay facing in the field.
Hello and welcome to the rugby update. I missed most of the rugby though this past weekend because I am once again sick. I'm also on copious amounts of drugs right now, and it is through that lens that this week's script was written. So if there are any mistakes or hallucinations, it's in agaaaaiinn's hands, okay? First game.
Referee is an Italian, Andrea Piardi, Nika Amashikeli and Gianluca Niecki.
The last big international match of the Autumn Nations series took place on Saturday in Dublin. The Irish were hosting and they were showing off their fancy 150 years of Irish rugby jerseys, which did look pretty snazzy. The Wallabies were in their usual gold and green, but they were up for a proper scrap with the world number 2 side. And this might be the level that the Wallabies are starting to get themselves back to. From underpowered and nervy easy beats in July to proper heavy ball runners in November. It has been great to see the hard work that Joe Schmidt and his players have been putting in starting to pay off. Ireland is still Ireland, for better or worse. Half of their fan base is currently further split into quarters. One quarter believes that the second coming of Johnny is here in the form of wiry Sam Prendergast, while the other quarter is pointing out in exasperation that Jack Crowley has been here this whole time winning shit. The other half of the Irish fan base is just so tired, and they wish that Andy Farrell will realize that time for humans is linear and that people get older, and then maybe he'll pick some new dudes, especially props, so that they can get some experience. With that backdrop, these two sides gave us a nice sign-off to the 2024 international rugby season. Ireland would get into the Aussie half with their usual attacking flair and set up camp there for phase after phase, only to lose the ball and to see the Aussies streak upfield and almost score. Or on one occasion to actually score. The match was a great back and forth battle that came down to a 72nd minute try from Ireland to finally take the lead and win the game by 22 points to 19. Like I said, a lovely match to sign off the 2024 international season. The next big batch of international games only start in Jan when the Six Nations kicks off. That tournament ends on the 15th of March 2025 at around 11:59 p.m. my time. Why am I marking that date and time so perfectly? Because any British and Irish Lions chat before that date must be treated with disdain or ignored or flat out ridiculed. Your BNI Lions team theory crafting means fuck all if there's still a chance that the entire Irish team could all get long-term debilitating gout on their final trip to Italy. So stop it. And now we must return to club rugby, specifically the club rugby I follow with most interest, the URC. The comp restarted on Friday night when the Glasgow Warriors, defending champions, hosted the Scarlets at Scotstoun Stadium. It was a much tighter affair than was expected, but luckily Johnny Matthews does not go quietly into that good night. A second half fight back from the host gave them just enough points to pip the visiting Welsh team by 70 points to 15, and it provided me a fun evening of reading blue sky fights between Scottish and Welsh fans. The other Friday night fight took place at the Kingspan, where Ulster hosted not Ireland for a nice little derby match. Ulster nearly handed Leinster their first loss of the season by leading up to 60 minutes, but the visitors could call on some influential bench players to take the game away and win by 27 points to 20. Yet to be beaten. Saturday's first kickoff was in Durban. A whole bunch of fans went to Kings Park to see if their Sharks could shake off the Paper Tigers tag and hand the out-of-form Stormers another loss. It was slightly painful to watch all the probably exhausted Springboks run out and smash the daylights out of each other to a tight 21-15 win for the hosts. The next kickoff was another derby between Cardiff and the Dragons with their new interim coach Philo Tia. The dead coach bounce did not kick in for the Dragons and they went down 31 points to 23 to the suddenly in 4th place Cardiff. How the hell did that happen? Connacht might have asked themselves the same question as they were handily dealt with by the Bulls at Dexcom Stadium, the dog track. Gone were the Bulls' usual yips in Ireland, and even with the disgustingly bloated figure of Moody on the wing, they scored 4 tries to 2 for a 28-14 win. Edinburgh versus Benetton next, and 83 points during the game to salivate over. Darcy Graham carried his great midfield running over from the November test and helped the hosts rack up 50 points to 33 in a Super Rugby-esque match. Delectable. Munster hosted the Lions late on Saturday, so I fell asleep. But that's okay, because the Lions probably won, because they were fully loaded and well rested, having not had a single Springbok out for the November test. And also their coach wasn't fired just before the break, despite years and years and years of mediocrity. And on top of that good news from the previous match, my most hated enemy, the Ospreys, went down to Zebre in the other final match. What a funny result. Any team that struggles against the poor Italians must have some serious issues with player fitness or poor coaching to sort out, right? 22 points to 17 for the Zebras from Parma, taking their win total to 2 for the season and sees them up off the bottom of the table. And that is it for the Urk again. The whole thing comes to a grinding halt even after it was stopped for like a whole month by the November internationals. Because now we gotta all go play the Champions Cup and Challenge Cup. When you scroll the matchups, they all look so fun, but it'll all probably be in front of empty stadiums and a bunch of B-sides playing against each other. Just merge both competitions into one big pool of teams and play a straight knockout. It cannot be worse than what we're getting right now. None of the games now matter until we get to like the top 8 or something. Anyways, that was the rugby. This is a boiling hot laptop upon which I've put some news, so let's read off of it, okay? And the best news to watch from afar has been the slow roast of already crispy looking Bill Sweeney. Currently serving as the chief executive of the RFU, he has been called out for getting paid £1 million this year, despite the RFU losing £37.9 million. That is like a bajillion rand. Sweeney's pay package did include a nice £385,000 bonus because the men's team won 5 out of 12 games. And also 42 RFU staff members were made redundant this past couple of years. It's all set out in the RFU's financial report, even sometimes way back in small print, and a lot of people in England are upset about it. Now, I do not know business, obviously, but if you had to let 42 people go because you could not pay them anymore, maybe you shouldn't take a bonus that year, just out of courtesy. I don't know. And finally, the biggest social media star in rugby, Ilona Meyer, has signed with the Bristol Bears in the Women's Premiership. The Sevens bronze medalist will be playing in the Women's Premier League in England for a bit, with her sights set firmly on making the USA 15s team for the Women's World Cup in 2025. Pretty cool! Any eyes that fall on rugby, even if it's girls' eyes, is good. They've also got money. We can sell them stuff, and then Ellis Park can be airlifted into another place in the country. Anyways, this video will also be airlifted onto my computer to get edited down to something watchable. We will talk next week if I figured out how the Challenge Cup and the Champions Cup works. Bye.